Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Sisters of the Strange. I am Landrey.
I'm Shae, and I'm still sick. Yay! It's the same day.
I'm like, it's the same week.
We're recording this in the same day, same week. So very soft-spoken today. I'm going to try to get through this without choking my lungs up. My throat hurts really bad.
Oh, that's actually Danza said she's been listening to us a lot. And she said the other day, she was like, your voice just brings me comfort. And I was like, yeah, because you can never escape me. I was like, yeah, someone actually commented and said our voices, they like loved our voices. And I was like, who on what planet?
I know. I'm just like, why? Have they ever heard me like get loud before? I do be doing that on here.
We do a match clip loudness, so probably not. We
True.
tamp it to where it's all the same like range.
It's probably a good thing.
Yeah.
My laugh is very, sometimes.
A little bit.
It gets me sometimes when I'm listening. I'm like, wow, okay, girl.
Wow. Pipe down.
Go off.
Pipe
Go
it.
off, girl.
Yeah. Very not a loud person at all. There's sometimes where it's like I'm talking like this and then it gets really loud and I'm like, whoa. But like I'll catch myself. And it's not even just in the podcast, like in just day-to-day life. Like I'll be talking and then one thing I says is like really high up here and I'm like, what the hell
You're
just
like,
happened?
hello?
Yeah, what is that about?
I do that when I get excited.
Yeah, but
like
I catch myself and I'm like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm
That
like,
was loud.
okay. I'm an adult.
I'm
Have you seen that video?
No.
Where she's like, that's not fair. I did it. I need to calm down. I'm an adult. That's literally me on a daily basis.
Regulate.
It's from like Smosh or something. It's so funny.
Oh, no.
She's my spirit animal.
Mm-mm.
It's getting hot in here.
Uh-oh.
Maybe that's just me. Is that just me?
It's just you.
Okay.
Probably because you're wearing a sweater and
Pajama pants and my hair's down.
like thick-ass pajama pants.
That's why I didn't even wear mascara today. I am like really playing the part of the sick Victorian child.
You're in it.
I'm just...
So she texted me, she said, I do not feel good. And I said, what do you want to do about that?
Yeah.
What do we do?
I texted her last night. I said, just so you know, I'm sick. I think I'm sick. I could be sicker, to be fair. I have been in the past.
Yeah, I said you were going to wake up feeling like crap and you don't feel any different. So at least I didn't bless you with that.
Yeah, thank God, because I was like, I was really dreading waking up in the morning and feeling worse. I did actually feel a little bit worse this morning, but it kind of got better as the day went on.
Yeah. You texted me and said, don't put that on me.
Yeah.
And do not do that.
Don't put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
My bad, girl.
My bad, girl. So we're doing a listener episode today. That's why there was no intro. Yay!
Applause.
I finally put together a listener episode. There's like 4 or 5 stories in here. I picked some like pretty lengthy ones for the most part. So hopefully it'll take up a good piece of time. But there's some good ones in here. Some really good ones in here.
I'm excited because if she's going to do them, I don't read any of them. So I have no idea what's coming.
Yay! Have you read any of these? I pretty much keep them all unread just in case you want to read them, but it also makes it easier for me to find them.
Yeah, no.
So next question, should I read the sad story first?
Yeah. I can't do it last.
Okay.
I can't leave out of here being teary-eyed. So.
Okay. So we got sent an email at the beginning of October and I read it today for the first time and I was like, wow, this is such a really good story, but it's kind of sad, but I want to read it because it's good and it's really well written. It's kind of like a heartfelt story.
She already kind of warned me and I was like already getting teary-eyed just on the basis of what the story is. So
it ends well-ish.
Meh.
Okay.
Meh. I said, I'm going to cry either way. Let's go.
No crying. There's no crying in baseball. Okay, here we go. Okay. So it starts out like this. Oh, never mind. Here's the email. Hi there. My name's Laurel. I've been an avid listener to your podcast for a couple of months now. I found y'all when I was trying to find something that was a little spooky but lighthearted, and I'm so glad you have become part of my car rides. I have an hour-long commute to and from work every day, and in those early morning drives when the fog hangs low, a little drizzle hits the windshield, and the sun isn't quite out yet, and I have a nice coffee in my hand. I refuse to have a hot coffee. It makes me feel like I have a sweater on my teeth.
Same.
But that's when it's my favorite time to tune in. It's a perfect, cozy car ride. Now, I don't exactly have a spooky story, not in the jump scare, bumps in the night kind of way, but I do have what I'd call a heartfelt haunting. Buckle up, babes. This one might make you cry. Let me start with a little backstory because there are a few main characters you should know before we get to the part that still gives me chills, but like the good kind. Peanut. My dog, my boy, my soul dog. I got Peanut when he was just 6 weeks old. Back then, I was with a boyfriend, one of those relationships that you stay in because you're loyal, even though the universe is like, girl, read the room. The relationship eventually fell apart in the worst way. Jail, rehab, heartbreak, the whole tragic playlist. But through every dark night, every silent cry, every piece of me that broke and rebuilt, Peanut was there. He caught every tear, curled up next to me when I couldn't face the world, and somehow always seemed to know when I needed a reason to keep going. He wasn't just my dog, he was my witness, my secret keeper, and in many ways, my home. Then life threw another curveball. I found out I was pregnant. Around the same time, Peanut started acting strange, drinking bowl after bowl of water like it was happy hour, peeing constantly like it was a competitive sport, and losing weight like he was on Ozempic. I took him to the vet, thinking maybe it was something minor, only to hear, your dog has diabetes. Dogs can get diabetes? I remember blurting out, half laughing through the shock. Apparently, that's a yes. So there I was, 7 months pregnant, trying to figure out how to give insulin shots to a diabetic dog while I'm crying into my maternity leggings. Then, a week later, because the universe likes to test its strongest soldiers, Peanut started running into walls, couches, and doors. I rushed him back to the vet and found out he'd gone blind. The vet hadn't warned me that this could happen, but apparently that's a thing that happens to some dogs with diabetes. Cool, I thought, okay, one more thing, we can adjust to this. And you know what? Peanut did adjust, like the badass he was. He trusted my voice, my footsteps, my hands, and we figured it out together. A few months later, I had my sweet boy. We'll call him K. And soon after, I knew I needed to start over. So I packed up my baby and my blind diabetic dog, and we drove across the country from Washington to Tennessee. Why Tennessee? Well, my sister lived there. And I called her one day and she said, I have an extra room, bed, closet, everything. What's holding you back? So I went. Me, a car seat, with said baby K strapped in, a cooler of insulin, and a vision-impaired co-pilot who still thought he was the main character. I just love the way that she's paints
writing
Peanut.
this so well.
I know, it's so good. And I love Peanut already.
Oh, I
He's
need
incredible.
Peanut.
So we made it, eventually. A month later, my mom joined us, a literal angel, and helped care for Peanut while I worked. My son and Peanut bonded instantly. 2 little matching souls sharing snacks and naps. It was perfect. Then came more moves, because apparently I thought U-Haul points were a form of personality. We went to Arizona and then back to Tennessee again. But no matter where we landed, it was always the same. Me, my son, my mom, and my sweet boy Peanut. At this time, Peanut was 12. His age was showing. He was a little slower, stiffer, started to lose his hearing, couldn't really hold his bladder anymore. We got him some cute diapers, but he still had his light in him. The light got a little brighter thanks to my mom's group of stray cats. She's a self-proclaimed crazy cat lady. One cat in particular, we named her Mama Kitty, adored Peanut. She'd rub against him, guard him, almost like she knew he was fragile and wanted to protect him. Peanut, in turn, would nuzzle back, like they spoke some quiet language only they understood. Mind you, Peanut hated almost everyone. This included other animals. I called him my grumpy old man because he reminded me of an old man with a cane that would whack people just for the heck of it. So it was strange that he was loving on Mama Kitty, but they loved each other. However, next came the hardest chapter. One day, Peanut started throwing up and couldn't stop. I rushed him to the vet, blood work, test, anxious waiting, pancreatitis, they said. Did I know what that was? Absolutely not. Do I still? No, but I knew it was bad. I told him to do whatever it took. I brought him home that night and sat up with him, watching him breathe, trying to comfort him. By morning, he was worse, so I took him back in. Then I got that call, the one no pet parent ever wants to get. He asphyxiated during the night, the vet said. He developed pneumonia. I think it's time to consider putting him down. I collapsed. I sobbed like my chest had been split open. That night, I brought him home for one final sleepover. He was still sick, but I stayed up with him, whispering, petting, trying to comfort him through the night. But he wandered, disoriented, circling, lost. He just didn't know where he was. He kept collapsing, but he kept getting back up like he was searching for something. He couldn't stop until I laid him on my chest. Then he was calm, just breathing. We stayed like that through the night. I was trying to memorize the feel of him, his weight, the sound of his breathing, the softness of his ears. The next morning, I walked back into the vet with tears running down my face, and I made the hardest choice of my life. I held him as he took his last breath, and I whispered over and over, I love you, I love you, I love you. And then he was gone. I held him for just a little longer, rubbing my tear-stained face across his head, breathing him in, rubbing his ears. His floppy ears were my favorite. I know, I'm trying really hard not to cry. Laurel, So the next day, I couldn't move. I stayed in bed, numb. My best friend had a surprise engagement party that night, something I'd promised I'd go to months ago, but the thought of leaving my apartment felt impossible. Still, something told me to go. So I went. I didn't talk much. I stayed in the background. I faked a smile when I had to. I existed. When I finally drove home that night, it was just past 10. Then I saw something strange as I pulled into my house. A single light blue balloon. It wasn't floating away or tangled in a branch. It was just there, perfectly still, floating with a string hanging in the grass. And on my porch sat Mama Kitty. When I parked, I felt this wave, this warmth wash over me. No sadness, no heaviness, but peace, love, and calm. I actually smiled. Mama Kitty walked towards the door, sat, stared at the balloon. I got out of my car. I looked at her and said softly, I know, I miss him too. The balloon never moved, just hovered, quiet and still, like it was waiting for me to see it. That night, for the first time since losing Peanut, I slept, and I swear that I could feel him tucked between me and my son, like always. Was that a sign from Peanut? In my gut, I knew it was. I even asked a medium about it later, and she said absolutely. She told me if it wasn't a sign, the balloon would have floated away, or I wouldn't have felt the calm that I did. And then, this is what I thought was really interesting. She said that cats are gatekeepers, and they can move between the spirit realm and ours. So Mama Kitty had just been Peanut's escort, and so maybe Peanut just wanted to say, hey, Mom, I'm okay. Isn't that the sweetest thing ever?
Yeah.
So she says, it's been a couple months now, and I still feel him everywhere. The sound of his paws on the floor, his little snore at night. Sometimes I catch myself talking to him, and honestly, I think he hears me. His birthday just passed. He would have been 13. That was a really tough day. But I know he heard us, me and my son, telling him how much we miss him and love him. And we like to do the song from Barney. You know, the one that goes, I love you, you love me, that song. We always sing it before bed in times when he's stressed out. And at the end of the day, we always say, I love you to each other. But now at the end, we both look at the sky and we say, we love you, Peanut. I want to keep the memory of him alive, and I want my son to know it's okay to talk to him because he can still hear us. So yeah, maybe it's not a spooky story, but it's a haunting all the same, a haunting of love that never left. Thank you for letting me share this and for giving me a space where love, loss, and mystery can coexist. With love, Laurel. Laurel, you are an incredible story writer.
Yes. Incredible storyteller.
It's a really beautiful story, and I think that
I cry.
Otherwise, let me be honest with you. I didn't want to read it because it's sad, and I didn't want to read it without crying and making everybody else cry. But it made me feel so special when you said, thank you for letting you share this story, because it makes us feel, good that we have this space for people to be able to express these emotions.
Yeah.
Like
a privilege to be the people who get to share that.
Yeah.
And spread that.
Yeah.
I'm my eyes are just watering, so don't worry about me.
I don't think any tears actually fell.
Not yet. They were bubbling there for a minute. I'm all the lights right now have, astigmatism with them from blurs, but I'm just such an animal person.
I know, but we love Peanut. That's Peanut. Look at that little cutie guy. Wait, hold on.
I'm that's going to make me what? That's going to be the breaker right there, the dog.
I am hot. Look at him.
It looks like little dog a little bit.
I know, he's cute. So, Laurel, thank you for your story. It was beautiful. And yes, obviously the balloon was 100% Peanut. And I told her the same thing. I said, I didn't realize that cats could be gatekeepers. And so when she said that, I was like, oh, that makes so much sense. That's why she was so close to him.
Yeah.
Because she sensed the veil,
Yeah, getting there.
Thought that was really interesting.
Oh, I love that. And I'm happy you had Peanut for 12 years.
Yes. And that you got to have that moment.
Yes. And I'm happy that you got to save Peanut long enough for him to get to know your son. Cause that's one of the things I'm going through right now is I've my little dog. I do not know how old she is. I have had her for 8 or 9 years. And I want to have a baby, and I want her to be able to be with my baby. And the idea of that is so hard.
Yeah. And little dog's gonna live forever.
Oh, she better. Fine. I remember whenever I met my husband, I had already had little dog, and he literally was like, so we're going to clone her. We're going to take her to China and we're going to clone her.
Like Tom Brady did with his dog.
Yeah. Cause he loves Little so much as well. Ugh.
She's going to live forever. It's going to be fine. So we had to get that one out of the way.
Yeah. She said,
beautiful story.
She said, there's a sad one. And I said, do it first, please. Don't do it last.
Yeah. Cause last time we cried at the end of the episode or the end of the listener episode.
Just animals, man. I can listen to sad stories. Well, I cry about adults and family members passing away as well, and the stories of how people express that. But animals is just something different to me because I'm so close with my animals.
Oh, yeah. Agreed.
That it hits me just in a completely different way.
Agreed.
I hope Peanut keeps showing up for you guys.
Agreed. Okay, moving on.
You just sounded like that commercial. It's like, Febreze, la 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 la.
That was not an ad.
But, I mean, side eye.
If you want to pay us for that. Anyways. So this one came with was another email that got sent to us. They did not specify whether or not they wanted their name to be used or not, so I'm just not going to do it. But if this is your story, listen up. So it starts out, I listen to your podcast daily going to work, and I figured I'd send you in one of my mini stories and see what y'all think it was. I'm not very good at writing, so forgive me if this comes out not very good. I worked in a nursing home and everybody swears it's haunted, but I didn't believe it until I started working night shift and weird things started to happen. Now I'm not sure what to think. I was on a hall that is separate from the main building and I was by myself. If you're at the nurse's station, one hall stretched to the left and the other stretched to the right, so it was 2 separate halls. This particular night, I was charting but also doing 2-hour checks on a resident that was sick. Around 1 a.m., it started to feel weird. The air felt heavy, if that makes any sense, and it usually was calm on these halls, but for some reason, that night, the call lights were going off like crazy. I went to go answer the light at the end of my hall, and on my left, it was a man who never spoke because he had a stroke and his voice was hard to understand. But when I walked in, he had his side light on and was looking at me with wide eyes and pointing to the end of his bed. I asked him what was going on, and he said, clear as day, man, and kept pointing at his own eyes like he was trying to tell me something. Of course, I didn't see anything. I turned on the main light, and there was nothing at the end of his bed, so I told him that I'd leave the light on for him and to try to get back to sleep. When I walked out of his room, 2 more lights were going off. I went to the first room, and this room had 2 men in it. The man on the first bed was sitting up with his eyes wide as well, but the second man was still lying down facing the wall. When I asked what was wrong, the second man said, "Can you make him shut up? He keeps talking about a red-eyed man in a cowboy hat standing by his bed staring at him." This made me get goosebumps, and I looked at the first man and he just nodded at me and said, "He's gone now, but he was there, I swear." I left his room and had to go to the other hall where the other light was going off, but decided to check on my resident that was sick, and she was okay, but when I walked out of her room, I saw what looked like a man walking into a room just across hers to the right. In that room, I had 2 men again. One was very particular and wanted to be tucked in every night with his shoes on and had to have his sheets perfectly straight. The other man was a full assist and couldn't be moved unless with the lift. I decided to go check on them because I knew how particular the first man was and I didn't want another call light going off, but when I walked in, his sheets were perfectly straight and he was snoring. He didn't move, and I know the full assist didn't move because he would be on the floor, but I swear I saw someone walk in their room. I kind of shrugged it off and went to answer the last light going off, but when I got to that room, it was an empty room. I didn't realize it until I got there, but the woman who usually was there was sent to the hospital earlier in the day because she got very sick. I turned on the light and checked the bathroom and even the 2 closets, making sure no one was in there, and it was in fact empty. So I turned the call light off and left the room, closing the door. Weird stuff kept happening all night. I even called the main nurse to come sit with me for a while because the call light in the empty room kept going off, and the man who never spoke had called me in a few more times, yelling, "Man," at the end of his bed. Absolutely not. The nurse couldn't stay long with me. She had to go run the other hall at the main building and help the other nurses around 4 a.m. The resident who was sick was getting worse, and the nurse told me to call her if they declined any more. Around 5 a.m., the empty room call light went off again. I went to go turn it off, but decided to check on the sick resident on my way through. They were okay and had no changes in breathing or anything, so I left to go turn off the call light in the empty room. But when I was walking out, I saw another shadow, but this time it was going into the sick resident's room. Another weird feeling washed over me, because I was just in there and I know I saw the same tall shadow that looked like a man walking into that room. The shadow was so tall it looked like it touched the top of the door frame, but I couldn't see a face. It was just a side profile. I didn't want to run, but I walked really fast into the room, and when I walked in, the resident had passed away. It was no more than 5 minutes that they had went from being stable to nothing. After that, the call light to the empty room didn't go off anymore, and the man who never spoke didn't call me telling me about the man in his room. The other male resident didn't call me telling me about a red-eyed man wearing a cowboy hat. It just felt like everything stopped after this one resident passed away. Any guesses as to what's going on? The red-eyed man with a cowboy hat, also seen a few months later, but on a completely different hallway, and on the same night that another resident who was perfectly healthy died out of nowhere.
Sounds like a reaper of some sort.
Someone told me it was an angel of death. Others have said it's a red-eyed demon. I have no idea what to think, but I know it gave me a very bad feeling. I have more stories about call lights going off in empty rooms and even birds flying into the windows of the nurses' stations, but I figured y'all would enjoy this one the most. So many weird things have happened at that nursing home. My oldest stepdaughter works there now, and she told me the other day that some residents upstairs have talked about a red-eyed man and that they are acting weird. I've never told her that story, and that just made it even scarier.
Sounds like you all need to be wearing some crucifixes, holy water.
Isn't that crazy?
Oh, I do not want to work in a nursing home. I've heard way too many nursing home horror stories. They sound terrifying. Old people already scare me. I don't know what I'm going to do when I'm old.
Amen.
Because they already scare me.
Amen.
It's the same as children. Creep me out. But sounds like some sort of like reaper. For sure.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I thought too. Whenever she said that it happened a few months later on another hall and another resident died.
Yeah. It sounds like it was like looking for someone that was like capable of taking, I guess.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Because like it visited multiple people that maybe weren't
ready
enough.
Yeah.
For it to take. But since this other person was already sick enough that they were able to like just jump right in, I guess.
Yeah.
Terrifying, because I can totally envision a cowboy hat, black creature, red eye situation.
Shadowy figure.
I can imagine like spurs on their little boots and everything.
And like hearing it walk down the hall.
Yeah, with like boots and spurs. I can just imagine that. And it makes me think, so my sister-in-law worked at a nursing home, and one of the stories she said there was one room in particular, which I think I've mentioned on the podcast before, one room in particular that if people were in it and they started to complain about hearing children, they moved them out of that room because they would complain about hearing children and then they would die. So like they actually think at some point they like did their best not to put anyone in that room. But they would always complain that there was children in the room and in the corner of the room and things like that, and then they'd pass away. And it was like happened to multiple times.
I just think that that's like gonna happen anywhere, because that's like the thinning of the veil, you know, like when you get old and you start like seeing people like in your room, like, you know,
at least
times are getting near.
You know, I'm like, at least let me see someone I like love. Don't send me nothing scary like that.
Yeah.
Because I'll be dying of a heart attack instantly. Like
I saw like a video or something the other day that was saying like, that said, whenever my grandma started telling me that she was seeing her, you know, my grandpa, like I knew that it was coming soon, you know, because he was already dead, like things like that. I'm like, yeah, that seems to be pretty like.
I think that was something you shared. Did you share that?
Maybe.
Because I feel like there was something I'd seen too, but it was like their cousin or something. They had started to see like their cousin or something like that.
Maybe. I don't remember. Same concept though.
Yeah.
You know? It always like makes me really uncomfortable. Like this has happened to me probably like a handful of times. But like if I take a patient back to a room, I work in a big ER. There's like 100 beds in that ER. Anyway, I'll wheel somebody into a room and they're like, oh, I don't want this room. My mom died in this room. My so-and-so. And I'm like, that's really uncomfortable. I wouldn't want to be in here either.
Yeah. No, thank you.
Sorry, but I can't move you.
Sorry, I was told to send you here.
So sorry. This is the last room in the emergency room.
Ugh.
Really awkward. Yeah.
My bad.
I'm like, I don't know what to say.
Would you like to sit in the hall for a minute?
Let me find you another room.
Yeah, let me have someone else handle this one.
I don't know, man.
That's terrifying. It sounds like some sort of reaper, for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
Stay at your best health when you're at work.
Yeah, don't let that reaper come for you, girl.
Yeah.
Don't let it happen. You didn't specify whether or not you wanted me to put your name in, so I didn't. So I'll email you and let you know that your episode is here, so you don't miss out on it.
Yeah.
Okay, next story. This is a really short one, but I had to put it in here. It's very interesting. So, good evening, Sisters of the Strange.
Good evening.
Good evening. Let me preface this story with the fact that I am a non-believer. I consider myself an agnostic, but very spiritual and more science-based. This is an experience I had playing with a Ouija board. My first and last, I might add. When I was around 12 years old, I had a sleepover at a friend's house. We got this great idea to break out my friend's older sister's Ouija board. We sat it up and placed our fingers on the planchette. We began to ask if anyone was there, show us a sign, but something just wasn't right. It was too bright in the bedroom. I decided to take my pajama top off and place it over the top of the lampshade. We sat back down, placed our fingers back on the planchette, with the room now shaded in a soft, warm glow. We began to ask the questions again. Is anyone there? Show us a sign, over and over again. The planchette began to move. I'm sure my friend was moving it, but I played along. It didn't spell out anything, so we continued to chant, show us a sign, over and over again. After several minutes, and while chanting away, all of a sudden, pop, the light bulb exploded, and my pajama top burst into flames. We both jumped up and quickly put out the fire while the room filled with smoke. Needless to say, I think I accidentally peed myself. We were both trembling with fear. In the next moment, my friend's father came running into the room. Well, I'm sure you can imagine, it wasn't pretty. In fact, for a brief moment during the chaos, I actually thought burning up in the fire would have been better than the wrath that was to come. I can promise you this is absolutely a true story. Words cannot truly convey the havoc taking place during this event. Obviously, it's all just physics, chemistry, and stupidity. But is it?
I could totally imagine a dad breaking in, seeing a Ouija board on the floor. There's something over here on fire. Kids just sitting in the room. Because I totally, one time, I used to spray hairspray and light it on fire. You know, just give a little, you know. So it was me, Caden, and I think Zanae, and maybe Haley. It was either Haley or Zanae, or both. I don't know. And we were in our old house, and we were lighting it, and we finally set off the smoke detector at 2 a.m. And it was whenever mom was married to Matt, and his mom was down staying the night. So we set off the fire alarms when my mom's mother-in-law or whatever at that time was staying. Mom was so mad. So then after that, we started doing it by the bedroom window instead.
Oh, why were we doing that?
Because it was fun.
Fire.
Smelled so bad though.
I don't understand. That's crazy.
Oh, I can just imagine just the chaos of that.
I just thought it was hilarious.
It is funny. Who messaged us, who messaged us on Instagram saying, I sent my Ouija board story in.
Oh, maybe. John. Yeah. John from Charleston.
Yeah, because they prefaced, I'm not a believer or anything, because we messaged back and forth a little bit.
Yeah.
So yes.
John, thank you for the story. We loved it.
That's hilarious. I can just see the chaos.
I also like that he is like, by the way, I don't believe in any of this shit.
But I'm here.
Here we are. I have a story for you.
See, but I could see where your shirt creates this, it gets too hot, heat. And it blows up and you catch on fire. Because I have a fear of things like that. Like I am putting up my Christmas village right now.
I always think about that during Christmas. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I unplug all of the lights whenever I leave, but then I also try and make sure everything's spaced how it should be and all of that. That's hilarious. Mainly because I can see the chaos. I can see your point of view where you're like, no, it just, like I said, got hot, exploded. That's fine. But I would have peed everywhere. I probably would have pooped too. I probably would have ran out a bedroom window, a second story, just, running in air, trying to catch the ground.
Dad are going to be so mad at me.
Yeah, that'd be terrifying. First and only experience. Yeah, I would never touch
one again.
I don't want to touch one in the first place.
Exactly.
I'm okay, but definitely not if that
Definitely
happened.
not after that.
Hell.
I'm almost burned the house down.
No.
Hell. I can't imagine how pissed off that dad was.
Oh my gosh, I can just imagine that. And I think that's the scene that I'm like, that's hilarious. I just see kids being like, ah! running in circles. Dad walks in, the lamp's over here on fire. Ouija board's on the ground. No shirt on. No shirt on.
No shirt.
Just running. Wet pants.
John, thank you for that story. That's good. That's a good story. That was a good laugher.
Yeah, we needed that.
Definitely needed that. Okay, moving on. I think this is the last one. No, it's not. Second to last. This one has a couple stories in it. So, Hey, Shae and Landrey. I've been listening since the very beginning, and I just want to say that I absolutely love your podcast. I've been meaning to share these stories with you for a while, but hadn't taken the time to actually write them down until recently. These are real experiences, some that happened to me and one to my husband, and they've stayed with us for years. You can refer to me as Val for the sake of the pod, but I would like my location kept private for safety purposes. Fair. So the first one is titled Haunted House. My childhood home was haunted. Some of the spirits weren't threatening, like George. He was harmless, maybe even protective, but there were others. And to this day, I don't know if they were ghosts or something much darker. The first time I saw George, I was home alone, curling my hair in my parents' bedroom. Out of the corner of my eye, I watched a man in a trench coat walk past the doorway. My stomach dropped. I didn't hear footsteps, but when I peeked through the crack of my bedroom door, there he was, standing there perfectly still in the middle of my room. I swung the door open, and he vanished. Later, I asked my dance coach, who lived across the street, about the house's history. She told me an older man named George had lived there before us and passed away about 10 years earlier. I hadn't mentioned anything about a trench coat, but she said, quote, he always wore one. She reassured me that he was kind and nothing to fear. And maybe that was true, but George often most appeared in my bedroom, especially when my best friend Ruby came over. We'd catch fleeting glimpses of him standing in the window as we drove away, or reflected faintly in the fridge door when we opened it, sometimes in the hallway outside the bathroom while Ruby showered. Our piano softly playing in the dead of night, but he never harmed us. His presence was constant, and we eventually learned why. My dance coach, who lived across the street, told me that George's wife had been on hospice care in what was now my bedroom. Her name was Ruby.
Oh, I was getting worried there for a second.
Yeah, I was too. I was like, George is great.
He's just watching this little girl. Okay.
That's not the end of the story. I thought it was. But not everything in that house was gentle. Our kitchen had a huge window that faced the backyard. No porch lights, no street lights, just endless darkness. One night, my sister went to get water and saw our dog growling beneath the window. When she looked, she said a glowing, moon-shaped object floated slowly back and forth in the corner. She screamed, waking my parents, but they didn't believe her. Later that night, she heard tapping on her bedroom window. When she finally looked, the pale shape was back, only now it had a face. My parents, being religious, had the house anointed with holy oil and invited friends over to pray over it. Things calmed down for a while, but then they escalated. One night, I woke from a nightmare that someone was hiding in my closet and under my bed. I ran to my mom, who prayed with me and tucked me back into the bottom bunk. My little sister was asleep above me. I pulled the blankets over my face, trying to convince myself I was safe. That's when I heard it. A deep, gravelly voice right beside me. Gotcha. My blankets yanked tight across my face. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't move, completely frozen. And then, just as suddenly, they released. I bolted to my parents' room and didn't leave until morning. Strange things kept happening. Once, while taking a shower, I heard loud bangs and what sounded like somebody wrestling around the house. Heart racing, I called my boyfriend, now my husband, as soon as I got out. He lived just a few streets over and came right away. He checked every room, every lock, every corner. There was no sign of anyone. But all of our Christian artwork, every single frame, was slightly crooked, like someone had touched each one deliberately. Then there were the screams. Ruby and I were getting ready for cheer practice at 5:30 a.m. one morning. We were silent, half asleep, when my mom suddenly burst into the bathroom, panicked, demanding to know what was going on. We stared at her, confused. We hadn't said a word, but she swore she'd heard blood-curdling screams coming from right where we were standing. Sleep never came easy in that house. I had endless nightmares and terrifying bouts of sleep paralysis. Ruby had vivid dreams, almost like she was living someone else's memories. And if she misplaced something, a shirt, a book, anything, she'd later find it neatly folded or placed right on top of her pillow, like someone had been in her room. My little sister sleepwalked constantly, too. No matter where she started, we'd always find her in the same place, silently standing beneath that big, dark kitchen window. George may have been kind, but something else lived there with us, and whatever it wasn't. So that's the first story of Val.
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 Never write to me ever again. I'm scared. I'm scared. Keep it to yourself.
I can see it in her face. Landry's like,
well, shit over here is making noise too, which is not making me feel any better.
And it's dark outside. Okay, the second one is titled Coffee with a Side of Haunting. I used to work at a coffee shop that opened long before the sunrise and closed well after dark. It sat inside a small, open concept shopping center. Our shop was at the front, a bookstore next door, doctor's offices in the back, and restrooms all the way down a dim hallway. The shop had a loft upstairs, accessible by 2 winding metal spiral staircases, and we kept the money drawer locked up in a closet overnight up there. Usually, it was just me and another guy. We'll call him Dan. Opening or closing since we'd been there the longest. One morning, when I walked in, Dan looked shaken. I asked what was wrong, and he said it felt like someone had been following him around while he opened. He'd gone upstairs to grab the drawer, and as he came back down, he felt vibrations behind him, like footsteps matching his, 1 or 2 steps behind. Every time he stopped to look, no one was there. When he reached the bottom, the lights flickered. I asked if he'd checked the security footage, but he hadn't, so we went upstairs together to review it. Everything looked normal, until the moment he reached the bottom of the stairs. That's when a dark shadow slid across the ceiling. Later that morning, before we opened, I was setting up the espresso machine when I heard whistling coming from the hallway near the bathrooms. Dan whistled a lot, so I assumed it was him, but when I looked up, he was standing right behind me at the register, frozen. We stared at each other. Neither of us said a word. A few nights later, we were closing together. We had just finished counting the drawer when the entire stack of coffee cups on the counter slid forward and toppled off the ledge, landing perfectly upright on the floor, as if someone had gently pushed them. We brushed it off and kept working, but as we were locking up, the drive-thru buzzer suddenly blared. It was motion activated, triggered only when a car pulled up, but there was nothing there. No cars, no animals, no wind. We tried to ignore it and headed out. As I drove away, I glanced back at the window and saw a dark figure standing right next to it. After that, smaller things started happening all the time. The sanitizing sink would randomly unplug, blenders would switch on by themselves, and the espresso grinder whirred when nobody was near it. But the worst happened late one night while we were closing. I was wiping the tables up in the loft when I heard shuffling in the office below. The office had an open ceiling, so from the loft, you could see the tops of the shelves inside. Dan was in the kitchen washing dishes, so I assumed maybe someone had broken in. Then I saw it. The top of a dark figure pacing back and forth in the office. I froze. Listening, there was mumbling, low, rhythmic, almost like chanting. I ran downstairs and grabbed Dan. We thought maybe someone was hiding out, so we walked towards the office carefully. The door was locked, just like always. And when we opened it, the lights instantly went out, and a shelf crashed to the floor.
No. What are you doing, my guy? Leave.
Get out.
First of all, is that the end of that one?
Oh, we've got one more.
Oh, okay. Well, just first of all, real quick, while I think about it, if my kids ever are scared in their rooms because something said, gotcha, they better stay in their rooms with that thing. Leave me out of it.
Leave me the hell out of it.
Yeah. Have you ever seen the thing and it's like, when my kid comes to tell me there's something under the bed and I'm like, I don't want to go see it either.
I'm not going to go check.
Yeah. Yeah, and yo, my guy.
You better get in bed.
Yeah.
We're done.
I ain't trying to see it either.
Guess you're moving in here. So this last part of Val's story is titled The Circle of Trees. And she starts it like this. This isn't just my story. Part of it belongs to my husband. There's a state park near my hometown, buried deep in the middle of nowhere. The road there is poorly lit, the park itself dim, scattered with only a few lights. Growing up, before everyone had reliable cell service, it was a place that always felt cut off, isolated. The park carries a legend whispered from one kid to the next. The Circle of Trees. A near-perfect ring of trees planted in a clearing, no structures nearby, no reason for them to be there. The stories shift depending on who you ask, but they all revolve around one thing: witchcraft, rituals, sacrifice. And if you happen to stumble across the ritual, you become part of it. My husband once went out there with some friends late at night, teenagers looking for trouble. As they were driving through the dark, he looked out the passenger window. A man was running alongside the car, matching their speed, nearly 60 miles per hour. Smiling. Too wide, too wrong. When my husband told them to speed up, the man dropped to all fours and still kept his pace. His head never turned, his eyes never left the car. My husband doesn't believe in the paranormal. He still doesn't, but he remembers what he saw. I've had my own experiences. One night, me and some friends were hanging out at this old wooden playground on the other side of the park. Everyone called it Nerd Fort. While we were messing around, we heard faint chanting. It was coming from the direction of the circle. Then we saw smoke rising in the distance. Someone having a bonfire, maybe? Stupid teenagers that we started yelling, mocking whatever might have been going on. I got a bad feeling and made someone drive me home. The next weekend, we went back. The fort had burned to the ground, charred beams, ashes everywhere. On the blackened wood, streaks of red. Spray paint, maybe? Or blood. Hard to tell. And then there was another night. I was out there late, parked along the tree line with a guy I was seeing. At first, everything was fine, but I started to feel watched, like we weren't alone. Every time we closed our eyes, the car rocked, slowly, deliberately. Not the wind. Something else. I looked out the window on his side, and between two trees stood a figure. Tall. Impossibly tall. The dark swallowed most of it, but I saw the eyes and the long, long legs. We left fast. Never went back. Whatever lives in that park, it doesn't like being seen, and it never forgets. Thank you for your awesome podcast. I can't wait to listen to future episodes. Val.
No. No, that's all I got. I'm about to have to get in a vehicle and drive home.
I knew as soon as I read that, I was like, oh shit, she's going to yell at me for that.
If I see NT thing running near me, we reckon finding the nearest tree with the front of my car, dude. Hell no. Absolutely not.
Val.
Those are also very well written and horrifying.
Scary, dude. Scary.
What's scary is there is so many houses that have that, like her childhood home.
Uh-huh. Like it starts there.
Yeah, it's just like my house, our houses growing up felt weird. I lived in a house that felt horrible. My very first home that I ever had with Aaron felt horrible. My house now feels fine. But the idea, I am looking for a house to buy right now, and the idea of buying a house right now, I don't want to. Aaron's like, look at this. I'm like, no. I don't want to move anywhere.
What if it's haunted? Yeah.
I feel comfortable where I am.
Yeah. What if this one's not comfortable for me?
Yeah. And I'm home alone way too much for that.
She also said that there's probably Reddit threads about the circle of trees. So the circle of trees itself at the specific park that I'm not going to name because she wanted her
location
to be safe. But I'll tell you about it later. This has like its own lore, apparently.
And you just going out there to make out under the circle of trees?
Mm-hmm.
Get it together. Make out in your bedroom. Sneak them in.
We're not doing that.
Sneak them in.
We are not doing that.
I never went to any of the scary places in high school. Around here, there was always local places you could go that were scary. I never did that.
Nope, me neither.
I did in college whenever it was more like a ha ha ha, you're older, it's not as scary, like joking around, but I still had my limits then, like brave to be sitting on a swing set mocking something else going on somewhere else in these woods.
Yeah, hell no. Especially some kind of ritual. You got me.
Yeah, if you know it's a scary spot. And then I know you're doing it to like bring yourself comfort, to be like ha 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 ha.
Uh-huh.
No comfort. If I heard any chanting begin anywhere, if I heard chanting begin right now, sitting right by you.
Sitting right
here by you. Done.
We're out. Audi.
Jumping.
Audi 5000.
There's just no way. That's so scary. That's terrifying. I want to know what the circle of trees is, why they're so perfect, who planted them like that, why is it like that, what happened.
Yeah, she put the name of the park in here for us.
I'm going to have to look that up. I want to know. Running next to your car? No.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Well, I immediately imagined the Wendigo, but like the old like drawing of them where they have like this thing like that. I immediately went to that.
That's exactly what I was thinking too.
That's exactly where my brain went. Don't know why, but that's where my brain went with that.
With that big like teethy smile.
Yeah.
Big eyes.
And then the house gotcha in your own bed. Like you think you're safe. Just don't like any of that.
Yeah, that definitely was not George. He wouldn't be playing those games.
George scared me for a minute. I thought George was creepy there for a second.
I thought George was a little creep at first too. But he just missed his old Ruby. His wife Ruby.
That's sad.
It is.
Great stories though. You write very well.
Yeah, these are all written very well.
And Shae reads so much better than I do. A+ for reading skills.
I'm focusing really hard.
I can't read. If there's anything we've learned, it's that I can't talk or read I can't do anything. I'm a loser.
Your brain just goes too fast.
I'm a failure.
I have to like slow myself down because I do that sometimes too. I get a little jumbly.
I get excited and I'm like, I know what the end of this story is, and I like want to get there.
It's okay.
It's a problem.
It's okay. You're just a little excited. Okay, we have one more, and I put this one in here because she's a local girly. T. Okay. It says, hello, ladies. I mostly just wanted to say hello. I have loved Paranormal podcasts for a few years, hosted by women preferably, but I was ecstatic when my husband informed me of a new podcast right next to my hometown. My name is Gracie. Feel free to use that. And I grew up in Alito, Texas. Gracie, I hope you listened to our most recent episode that I did on Alito, Texas. She says, I am loving y'all's podcast and especially the southern accents that make me feel at home. I do not currently live in Alito, but I hope to move back closer to Fort Worth and family one day. Currently, I'm living in Forney and attending graduate school at UT Southwestern. Anyways, enough about me. I just wanted to share that I'm a local gal. I do not have any major spooky stories. However, I do have one somewhat paranormal story. Now, I must preface that this could use a trigger warning for suicide. So I had just finished my freshman year of high school. My friends and I were celebrating the first few days of summer. And I'm sure you two know about the Parker County Sheriff's Posse Rodeo.
Boy, do we ever. Did I keep a camper out there every year from 9th grade till senior year? You guarantee.
I knew you'd love that. She said, and students from Aledo loved it just as much as those from Weatherford. I did not attend the rodeo that year, but several of my friends did. That night, I had a dream about one of those friends. Besides some innocent flirting, our relationship was mostly platonic, but I did have a crush on him. We had hung out on the last day of school, but this was a couple of days later and we had not spoken since. I will also preface by saying there was a lot of other things going on in my life and boys were not in the forefront of my mind. However, I still had this dream about him. We did not speak in the dream. He simply approached me and kissed me and then walked away. In real life, we had never kissed or even dated. Then I woke up. When I woke up that morning, I had some strange text from my other friends about said friend asking if I had pictures of him. My dad then calls and tells me my friend committed suicide that night. He was the happiest person I know and it was extremely unexpected, but apparently there were some older boys at the rodeo threatening him. Regardless of what happened that night, I think he had some darkness that he never shared with anyone. Losing him was truly the hardest thing I have ever gone through, and I still hold on to the trauma even after almost 10 years. I am stronger for it, though, and I will forever advocate to check on your happiest friends. My question for you, ladies, is do you think he was saying goodbye to me in his dream, or was it just my subconscious conjuring a fantasy about a boy that I liked? Anyways, sorry for the bummer of a story, but I would love your insight.
Okay, one, that's horrible. I was like joking about rodeo because I had lived at the rodeo. I really did. But that's so sad that he like went to rodeo and something made him feel enough of that.
I know, it's really sad.
I think things add up to get there. I don't think it was a one night circumstance, but that's really sad. And I'm sorry that you had to go through that. We have both experienced suicides close to us, so we get that.
Yep, totally understand it.
Yeah, it's not easy, and there's always questions of who, when, why, where, what was the final, you know. So there's always
so many questions.
There's always questions for that, and you'll never have the closure you want because you'll just never get to know that. For me, I would definitely say he was coming. One, I think intuition plays into that. First and foremost, intuition plays into a lot. Two, I think he probably was coming to tell you like, thank you for being kind to me. Like you were a kind soul to me, and I appreciate that you were a kind soul to me. He probably knew you had a crush on him. He probably had a crush on you.
He knew, girl. He be knowing.
Yeah, I think it was like a farewell. Thank you for being a good person to me.
Yeah.
Because I do think people who go through that, they do always have a few people in their life that they know are the few people in their life that they can like rely on. And you're probably one of those people, whether you were super close or not, if you just were a smiling face to him constantly, like he would have recognized that.
Yeah, absolutely. Very well said.
Yeah, that's sad. I'm sorry. I think intuition plays a lot into it because I be dreaming. That's literally, I told Shae literally did not tell me that she was doing any of these stories, what stories she was doing. And I told her when I got in here earlier, I said, I had a dream that one of my friends is pregnant last week. I took a nap and I woke up and I texted my friend and I said, I had a dream you're pregnant. And she responded back and she said, dude. And I said, are you? And she said, maybe.
Might be.
She was like, I don't know for sure yet. But like, she said, I haven't even told my mom that I've been feeling weird. She's very close with her mom. She was like, I was just talking about it with my husband that I'm feeling kind of like I might be. And so we still don't know if she is or not. She still hasn't said anything. I'll know this week. But I'm like,
we'll get the pinpoint on Landry's intuition.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing is I've had a dream one night. I had a dream that my dad had a heart attack and died. And I woke up the next day and his aunt had a heart attack and died.
Yeah.
And so, because I woke up and immediately was like, hey, are you good? And then learned about that. I had a dream about him the other day that he had a really horrible situation again. And I woke up immediately panicking again, checked his location and he was already at work. But I had a dream that he did not make it to work and it scared me.
Yeah, sometimes you just like don't know. Dreams are weird because they can always be interpreted as something.
Yeah, sometimes they are and just so
it's like
sometimes they are like it's a control thing, like you're like losing control of something and so you're dreaming about it. And then other times it's like I feel like it is something actually happening and telling you like, hey, this is what's going on.
Wake up.
Yeah.
Open your eyeballs.
Creeps me out. You just don't know until it happens. And then you're like, I dreamt about that. Which is why I told her immediately when I woke up, I texted her because I want to know like if it does come true, I wanted to have some sort of like
validity in that.
Yeah.
Validity.
I already told my husband.
I almost said validity.
Validity. She listens though, so girl, you listen and you tell me. But yeah,
that's all I have for listener stories this week. There's more on there.
Yeah, there is.
That I had to cut it down so that the episode wasn't 5 hours long.
We're pretty much just going in order, I think, based off of what we've got, because we've got a lot of emails that are unopened just from this, literally like within this last week, that I haven't even tried to open them yet. I get overwhelmed, but it's so cool. I like reading them and I like hearing about them.
I do too. There's some good ones in there.
But those were all great stories. I'm so thankful that all of you are sending them in and trusting us with your stories and your time and wanting to share them. I love sharing them. It's crazy because like I remember listening to other people's podcasts and being like, those people are doing it. Those people are doing some really cool shit. And then we're doing it. And I know y'all think that about us. And it feels weird to know that people think that way about us.
Yeah. Because I would have never thought.
No, I am the most anxiety ridden, never put myself out there kind of person. And my mom is like, and you started a podcast.
Yeah. Because we really didn't give ourselves any option.
No.
We were like, we're doing it. Okay. See you next week.
Yeah, we did it within a week. We were texting about what should we do together. Like, we need to do something. Like, should we just start a social media account together? Like, what should we do? And then I was like, I've always wanted to start a podcast. And she said, okay, here we are.
Here we are.
Picked out a name within like a day. Yeah. And we were in it.
And now we have listener stories.
It's just crazy, but it's so cool. And it like is like, if y'all are sitting in a point in your life, because I'm also sitting at this point in my life where I don't know exactly what I want to do with my life, but I know that I don't want to be 60 years old, waiting on retirement, sitting behind a desk. Like, I know that's not who I am. And I know we didn't start the podcast for that, like to retire us, I guess, or anything like that. But we started it because we enjoyed these things and we like sharing stories like this. And if it gets to that point, that's awesome. But I'm in this point in my life where I'm like, okay, I'm doing the podcast. What else do I want to do? Like, do I want to vlog? What do I want to do? Just do it.
Just do what you want to do.
Just do it. Because
post the content.
It was like, well, just do what you want. Like, if you are sitting at a job and you're like, I hate this, make sure you're financially able to take a leap, but like get your ducks in a row, but take a leap.
Yep.
Like, life is way too short to be sitting here.
Too short to do something that you hate.
Like I said, take that with like, build your blocks. Don't be like, they told me to quit my job, I'm quitting tomorrow. Like, build yourself, take your time, have your blocks, have your plans and things like that, but start planning it. Yeah. And see if what you want is like executable. Like, can you do it? Is it a plan that you can make happen? Because if it is, I say do it.
You love what you do. You never work a day in your life.
Yeah.
True that.
I'm like, I don't know how we got here, but like, just do what you want to do, man.
Do what you want to do, baby.
As long as it's not murder. Don't listen to me if it's about murder. Don't listen to me if it's about something. Don't do something bad.
We'll send you to the island.
The murder island. You're going to get kicked out. But I don't know. Figure it out.
Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it now. We should probably leave it at that, huh?
Yeah.
Anyways, if you like this episode, like, follow, subscribe, comment, all the good things. Send us more listener stories at sistersofthestrangepodcast@gmail.com. Or you can send them to our Reddit account or any of our social medias. Email's the best. You can find us on all social media platforms at Sisters of the Strange or Sisters of the Strange Podcasts. I think that's it.
I'm having heartburn.
Oh, okay. Well, see you next week.
See ya.
Okay, bye.
Bye.